Hello, everybody. My name is Ian Kirkpatrick. I'm an author, idiot, and loin streamer, and today we're going to be talking about some controversy that went down Saturday, May 27th slash May 28th, Sunday-ish. So about a week ago when this video goes up, technically it's happening right now, so be prepared for when this video comes out. Information may have changed, but it leads into a bigger discussion about AI and people using AI generators for art and the lazy and selfish entitled people that use that sort of stuff and the way that they treat people in doing that sort of stuff. But before we get started, number one, if you enjoy what I do here on the channel, please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Number two, if you would like to be featured on the channel, check out the links down in the description below. Number one way to be featured here is through Lemwy, which is the monthly prompt writing contest where I give you guys a prompt. You guys submit a short story that is, well, or a fragment that relates to the prompt in some way. And on the first Monday video of the month, we go over at least 10 of these submissions, if there are that many, and bask in the creativity of this community. And let me tell you, the people that hang out here are insane. If you haven't, in the best way, if you haven't joined the fun yet, I highly recommend it. And the second way to be featured here is if you are an indie author with a book out or a book coming out, submit your first chapter and your cover page. They will be read here on the channel, and hopefully that will help more people find your book, because that is what I am trying to do here, is to spread the love and awareness of indies one way or another. And the third thing is, if you would like to read any of my books, check out the links down in the description below. You can also find them at any of your favorite places to get books, including libraries, OneDrive, especially upon request. I hope you enjoy if you check them out. With that said, let's jump into the topic. How it all started. The SPFBO's cover contest was accused of using AI, which is against the rules. The author contested this, and he pulled his book from the contest to avoid drama and contacted the artist, who provided a work-in-progress screenshots, except those screenshots were faked. So Mark Lawrence, the man who I think runs the SPFBO, went from saying everything is fine, we've verified that it's not AI, to waking up this morning and finding out that it is AI and canceling all future cover contests for the contest. At least 2 other authors were taken in by the same scammer through commissions. So what is the SPFBO? It is the self-published fantasy blog-off homepage. I think this is the 3rd year for it. I don't entirely know, because this is the first time I've ever really heard of it. But the mission statement for this blog is it exists to shine light on self-published fantasy. It exists to find excellent books that might otherwise have gone unnoticed. It exists to help readers select from the enormous range of options books that have a better chance of entertaining them than the random choice, thereby increasing reader faith and finding a quality self-published read, which that is also somewhat what I try to do here, though I don't have as much of a vetting process as probably they do compared to the Fresh Meat feature. But so it's a worthy mission statement to try to get stuff out there. Now, the problem comes with the rise of the AI and the rise of the scammers, the human haters, the greedy, the lazy, the opportunists. It went from being just the 20 to 50K people that would massively write to just put out as fast as they could to try to make money, to now people using these AI to make money, both pretending to be artists, selling to authors who believe that they are hiring a unique artist to do their covers, to people who are using them, to authors who are using the AI generators themselves to create covers for their work while disgracing every other artist, and then those who use them both. Before I get into the sketch and like what started all of this, or I should say the image and what really started all of this, I want everybody to remember that we do need to have some level of compassion and understanding and work slowly. Yes, there are scammers. There are also victims, and everybody is either ready to lash the Luddites for not getting on the scene of stealing from other people, or they are ready to lash out at these scammers. And we're forgetting sometimes in this hunt for the truth and honesty and the work ethic that there is an in-between. Not everybody is trying to scam or protect themselves offensively. And so as we go through this story and the tweets and as it unraveled, let's remember that we need to keep it slow. We need to be patient and keep our minds open. One of the things that I try to do on this channel in general, other than, I just give my perspective on the books that I read and the thoughts that I'm having that may or may not be correct, is I try to give grace to the different perspectives in which we may be approaching things from. So mine may not be correct, but I can only give you the view that I see when I see things. And I try to assume the best of other people at the same time until given the reason to believe otherwise. So in going through this story, let's remember that everything came up very, very quickly and nobody knows who to trust because the battle between artists, like visual artists and writers, has been very contentious for the last couple of months. There have been writers that I have seen insulting artists like you wouldn't believe. Just it's the kind of stuff that reads like angry jealousy because they didn't want to practice arts. They made fun of the artists for years, for decades even. And it's these same tech bros that always said that it is a waste of time to do art, that know they need art to make money, that know they need art for entertainment, and now they're fine just stealing it. And so then you've got disgusting language like draw fags and flesh artists or something like that, where they're just constantly mocking actual artists that create while stealing from them and laughing in their faces that we're training these machines to replace you, we don't need you, when you actually really do, and you should be ashamed of yourself for stealing from artists. So the vitriol from the artists is coming from months and months and months of these people that are not visual artists, that don't care about artists, that just see a way to make money while stealing from other people. And it has been so contentious and so poisonous and so disgusting. And so much of it has also come from authors. I've been insanely disappointed by the writing community a couple of months ago. I think it was at the tail end of last year as Midjourney was becoming more and more popular, with how many authors were jumping on the bandwagon of using the AI generated images for cover pages or for cover art. And it might have been, I don't know how this works at some point last year. But as more and more information came out and the understanding of how it was trained came out, when it became vicious and insulting, there should have been more defense. And it shouldn't have been only hanging on the thread of, until it comes for our jobs, we don't care. It's either you value the arts and you value the artists and you don't want those people's processes and arts stolen from them, or you don't. And with the number of writers, especially political people that saw an opportunity to smash the artists, you can't really be surprised that there is so much vitriol and distrust from the artists to the writers. There weren't enough writers that were protecting and speaking for and speaking with the artists before ChatGPT became the next thing. And then suddenly a bunch of writers were like, oh no, this is bad. Like, that's something that I kind of warned about, that you can't just wait until it bothers you to then defend against it. You have to be proactive, because it's the value that's being taken away. It's the crime that is being committed, not against you, but against other people, even before it comes for you. So there is vitriol. So let's go through the story. Again, remember to keep compassion and an open mind, and I'm looking forward to your thoughts on this topic down in the comments below. So this all started when I saw this tweet by Orugario, and it was actually sent to me by a friend that said, an AI-generated cover just won a cover contest. The creator says that this cover has been made 100% by a human using Illustrator. Let me laugh. Now, I usually I generally trust the artists when they talk about AI generated and what goes into an image, the balance of an image, the construction of an image, because having talked to people like Monty and Sam and even Casey, and just listening to people talk about that are trained in the arts, talk about what goes into the arts, and watching them even when I send them like my image and I'm saying I'm struggling with something, and if they draw over the image to show me how to kind of fix something, they know how to put shapes together and movement. And it is such a skill that you do have to learn through trial and error and observation and construction. It is a sort of engineering of the eye. And so to the untrained eye, it might not be as easy to see, but I generally can trust a lot of the trained artists to understand what they're looking at. And if you go into it, they can usually point at you what they're looking at that says, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. I've been working on this for so long. It's the same thing that I can do when I'm looking at written text and stories. So then you scroll further down and the OP says another illustration by the same artist. And you really can't help it if you've hired somebody to give you illustrations and you're like, okay, cool, illustrations. And You believe that they are all hand done. Further down, actually, it was created by human beings, using Adobe Illustrator. Was there more to this? No, there was not. So the assumption here comes in at this point when it says Mr. Prindle Matthew says that he is not a scammer as proof, shows us images and a PSD of his artistic process. As proof that he is lying, I leave a video where I replicate how he faked his sketch, short thread, blah blah blah. And so as you can see, this person is drawing on top of to make it look like a sketch. This is the sketch that Mr. Prindle showed us on a mobile device, and it is probably not noticeable, but there are details that reveal that this is not a sketch. Isn't it strange that the sketch shows the watercolor marks on the final rendering? Don't you see it? It's because the scammer purposefully obscured it. I increased the lighting of the image now that we can see it. Now we can see it clearly. Why do they see each other if they supposedly hadn't started painting yet? And if he had already started, why do they look so dark? The colors in the palette are repeated. This is just random stains, writing random things on. Why does it look like the hair is a badly cropped pinch? He showed us this montage that he edited himself. He says that he was inspired by this for his drawing. Isn't it more honest to say that he uploaded this image to Midjourney and passed it off as a result of his own work? And then you come further back to this other thread, and people were digging into this after they discovered names, and he had a ton of variations on Midjourney because Midjourney catalogs everything that it puts out for you. And it's generally a public profile unless they've changed it more recently. So then you're going to be able to see all of this stuff pop up in the Midjourney background. If you look at it, this is what it looks like. So then we go over to the author of the book himself, MV Prindle. And like I said, we wanted to remain open-minded and thoughtful and compassionate because we don't know what this actual thing was. And it turns out that Mr. Prindle had actually hired an artist for the cover and had actually been duped himself about where the cover came from. It wasn't that he was trying to swindle anybody, as he thought he actually got an original work of art, which is one of the difficult things right now with so many scammers out there and being an untrained person in the visual arts. You're generally just going to be accepting and trusting that people are selling what is only theirs, when in actuality, there are a lot of people that are just scammers. So MV Prindle said, I'm sorry to announce that I confronted my artist with the evidence dug up by the community proving that he used AI generator for the cover, and I was met with silence. He has completely left social media. I stood up for him because I thought that he was my friend. It turns out that he wasn't. So it looks like what happened is that there were accusations that this person Mr. Prindle had submitted an AI-generated cover knowingly and then lied about it later and created fake evidence. What it looks like happened is that he was presented with this information. He went to his artist and said, hey, this is what's happening. The artist fabricated evidence, sent it to Mr. Prindle. Mr. Prindle defended him in good faith, and it turns out that all of the information that he was given and the evidence, the PSDs, all of that was faked. And Mr. Prindle was the one that took the heat for it because it was on his book. He was the one speaking about it, and he was defending his friend. When ultimately, when you had artists look at it, they were able to tell that it was all based on a lie. Further, this is not the only person that this same artist duped. It looked like 2 or 3 other people were also duped by this person. One include Fletch God Apocalypse here, saying, so about this, he said originally, let's click this one. I was looking for an artist and saw Bob the Wizard by Prindle Matthew. After pestering Matthew, I reached out to the artist, Mouse Literary. Sean has since done 2 covers for me, including a War to End All. Oh, and it's gone. And it looks like there were many people in here when he announced this saying, hey, this is AI generated. And it took a little more for it to be convinced. So then we come to Fletcher God Apocalypse now saying, okay, about this. According to the Hive AI detector, the cover done for War to End All contains AI generated content. I have a cover reveal booked and a release. I have a cover reveal booked and a release schedule. Still trying to figure out the fallout for this. I can't say that I'm not happy. More on this later. Now, of course, I wanted to bring up Dirk here because Dirk is the type of person that is making all of this discussion so much harder. Where you've got, if I self-publish my sci-fi book, I will 100% certainly use an AI-generated cover. Now, the problem with this perspective, my good sir, is that I shouldn't say good sir because clearly you're a scammer. And even more so is this person, and I don't want to jump to conclusions here, but there seems to be some misanthropy involved here. When you look over here at the profile, occultist, transhumanist, MA teacher, minor author, no lives matter. And lawful evil. I would say unlawful evil, but there's a level of human hatred that comes through in the way that this person writes, and it comes across as an entitlement to your money, an entitlement to you and your time, a fork over the money, you pay pig. It's through this, and for some reason he believes that his writing is worth your money, but it's okay to steal from other artists. And this is the crux of the situation of why there are so many artists that are so ready to accuse and jump on writers for stealing their art, because they will openly do it and they will say they will openly do it. And this type of person has been insulting artists specifically for about a year now, only getting worse as it became more popular. You cannot demand or expect that people give you money for your art if you're not willing to defend and protect and respect other people's art. On top of that, how is anybody supposed to know that your book is actually written by you and not a piece of garbage thief Frankenstein built through AI generators? Because you're showing that you're already willing to do that, and you think that people owe you money for smashing stuff together that wasn't even yours. So then mentioned, I'm going to definitely use an AI generated cover. People say, hey, maybe that's not the greatest idea. You're going to turn people off. I'm not sure that is a reasonable request. Apart from fraud angle, every artist is influenced by every other major artist. That's not the same as an AI generator ripping humans off. Such a garbage argument. It will not make the slightest difference. The future is written. All we have to do is wait. So he's pretending that he doesn't have a choice in the matter, that his actions don't matter. He can do whatever he wants. A sci-fi book supporting the Luddites, a nice niche market, saying that anybody who doesn't approve of or support his theft is a Luddite. That's a garbage. I will certainly put it in the blurb, saying that he will put cover generated by AI, along with my real name, the real name of the woman in the picture, and I will close out with a poem about the AI goddess from one of her prosecutors, No Poets Hired. It's science fiction, for fuck's sake, not Luddite Weekly. So, just mocking anybody that says, hey, don't do this. It devalues your art, it mocks the readers, but doesn't care. Now, Now, it's so easy because of people like Dirk to get defensive and to just shut people down and not to give any trust when the stuff comes up, because of people like Dirk who are just going to insult you. And Dirk wasn't even the worst of the type of people I've seen that defend this kind of stuff, which results in people like Joao. Sorry, Mr. Silva. saying, well, it seems like I got blocked for asking people not to assume the author is a scammer just because it turned out that the cover was AI. I guess that's asking too much. Yes, it is. Because everybody is ready to get on everybody else. Then I wanted to bring up the real Quimby Olsen over here, where this is really vile. To immediately jump to the conclusion that a book with AI art must also be written by AI is absolutely awful and it needs to stop. However, as we just saw with Mr. Dirk, he's going to have an AI-generated cover as well. So how are you supposed... And when you've got somebody that assumes that way and also goes, oh, the future is already written, so what I do doesn't matter, it's going to end up the way that it ends up. How can you trust that somebody isn't selling you garbage that they didn't make? It really is a difficult thing, and we'll get to a little bit more on that here in a second. Because here you've got Brian Penny saying, cover of Bob the Wizard is Midjourney for a fact, and I bet the book is ChatGPT. Now, how do we stop this from happening? Is all we can do is give the benefit of the doubt and listen to people and try to trust people and not let our souls be rotted and destroyed by the cynicism and the disaster that is around us, because the world is going to try to break you. The scammers are going to try to break you and separate you from humanity and from each other. And like, it sounds super hippy-dippy in a way, but the purpose of this is to make you distrust and cynical and disturbed so that you don't care about anything but me and mine. And that is one of the things that has been at the bottom of the AI stuff since last year that has bothered me, is it generally comes down to being self-serving, selfish, and destructive at the expense of others, and who gives a fuck. Coming over here to Joshua Scott Edwards' tweet thread, he said, Bob the Wizard's cover art may have been AI assisted, but far more disturbing is the witch hunt behavior of a few individuals I've seen. Very little empathy extended to the author, who was lied to by the cover artist. The cover artist shouldn't have lied about what they were delivering, obviously, but the sort of moral outrage that we've seen incentivizes people to do exactly that. Now, future cover contests have been canceled, a blow to the human artists whose work we should be celebrating, but you don't get to celebrate those human artists if they're just being overwrought by the AI generators. So this, like, you have to be able to call this stuff out, but also the artists have been dealing with this too. Like, this is the first time it feels like the writers have been dealing with this, maybe because I'm in an artist space and I've got artist friends. I've seen artists being told to prove that they did their own drawings, or people, scammers, stealing artists' work while they were doing live stream drawings, sticking them through AI to complete them, and then accusing the original artist of stealing their own art. Like, I have parts of that on my channel for when I was covering this months ago. There's been this witch hunt going on because people in these industries, especially the writing industry, have not been calling out this garbage. You have Sarah J. Maas using an AI-generated cover on one of her newest books. What is Bloomsbury doing? They have money for an actual cover. I get that people have ethical concerns about the use of AI, but my chief concern is the sense of righteous glee that people get while dogpiling on people in our community. That behavior will continue to hurt innocent people and ultimately is not productive. Treating people with compassion and grace is better for all of us. I mean, I wish that I could say this. I wish I could agree on that, but at the same time, this is the same vitriolic behavior that has been jumping down people's throats about, like, with the RWA, with the sci-fi fantasy organization, with the horror organization, with everything that has to do with the diversity and inclusion inside of stories, with people writing certain types of characters or certain backgrounds. It's always a witch hunt in these communities. It's not just about this. There is something about this online community that has to do with books and creative writing specifically that is different than being in any real life space that has to do with creative writing. I mean, the industry is pretty biased, but the vitriol in the book community online is so specifically witch hunty and clicky and clubby and wants to destroy you. We talk about, like, there are channels that specifically talk about authors behaving badly, but it doesn't talk about reviewers behaving badly. It doesn't talk about, then there are actually a lot of authors that go after reviewers, but there are also reviewers that go after authors and want to destroy authors. There are people that read certain books that just want to have that author destroyed again and again and again in the future, never ending, for no apparent reason other than they have a personal bias or hatred for that author. I don't know what it is, but it is part of this entire thing. But one of the things that I have mentioned specifically with the AI generated content from the beginning is the lack of care and compassion in general. This entire thing has been fostered by people stealing art and saying, fuck you, I'm gonna take your art and you're gonna like it because you can't do anything about it and I'm gonna make money for it. Fuck you, draw fag. That's how it has been all of this time. And authors have not said anything against it. So it's made people more and more vitriolic because you did not stand up months ago. I'm not saying that it's justified, because people are too quick to be able to want to ruin other people's lives over the smallest things. Over disagreements or misunderstandings. But we all have to slow down and we all have to stand up for what's right, even if we don't have something to gain from it at the time. Because you weren't being stolen from or you weren't being tricked. And so, like, in part, this comment here feels more like it's advocating for writers. When in general, everybody needs to have more respect for one another and a patience and a willingness to get to the bottom of things before pointing a finger. But like 2 weeks ago, I literally just did a video where somebody made vague accusations of feeling mildly uncomfortable in DMs and it ruined somebody else's life. I don't know how to fix this, but this is just what the online writing community does. And you see it in Justin Gross's thing here. I have no idea who this is. This just popped up now too, saying, in light of everything going on, I want to let everyone know that I am going on indefinite hiatus from both my personal account and reviewing as a whole. Honestly, the vitriol of the last 24 hours has only cemented my growing discomfort. Social media just isn't good for me. I initially joined Twitter in 2019 to connect to other readers and like-minded individuals. I'm autistic and I have a lot of trouble connecting with people and developing friendships. So I was hoping that this would help, and it kind of did. It developed a wonderful friendship and a bunch of mutual acquaintances. Mostly, it has just been a huge source of mental exhaustion. Bloggers literally volunteer our time, money, and effort to read books, review them, talk about them, etc. to help authors for free, and yet we constantly get shit on at every turn. Nothing we do is good enough, despite the fact that none of it is required of us. And of course, that doesn't describe every author or every situation, but it's something that happens often enough that it is brought up almost weekly. We can't ask for arcs without stealing. We had better read and review with a certain time frame, or God help us, and we can't feel bad for authors who have been scammed by grifters. It absolutely is exhausting, and that's not even to mention the backstabbing, infighting, mockery, shit-talking, and everything else that goes on behind the scenes. I've tried to do everything that I can to be a place of positivity and support in the community. I built my platform on that, and I've done my best to always be present, to present myself from a place of positivity and never from negativity. I want to be excited about things, and I want to have fun and share my love reading and playing games, but you know what? I can't. I haven't read or played games in months, and I've been too damn depressed and on the edge of suicide. If you're this level of depressed when it comes to socializing, you really should take a step back. So I hope that Justin does recover. There is a lot of pressure in this community, and in general, that's one of the reasons why, I never really know what's going on. This is probably the first time that I'm really on top of drama that's going on, but I even had stuff in my very, very small community where I feel like I'm the burden in my own community, that I'm going to upset people, because I don't want to make a negative experience for other people. I try really hard to be really accommodating to the people that I'm around. I do things for them that I would not necessarily do for myself, that I may not necessarily like. I read I read things for the benefit of other people that made my family angry, for having to hear me read stuff, like smut for somebody else's podcast, that it made them angry that that's what I was doing. And I messed up personal relationships. I didn't know it at the time. They just held it against me later. For other relationships that also ended up having issues with me. And I don't know why. And it's really hard, to the point that I have also thought about, just shutting down the Discord that I have, so that I don't be the negative event to happen in other people's lives. I try really hard. I might be critical in reading books because I know what I like, but I'm not actually trying to be destructive to other people. It's really hard. And the more that I paid any attention at all to book Twitter, the more I was like, this is so fucking bogus. So I just don't. So I get to miss out on all of the drama because I don't fucking care. I want to talk to people about books. I want to talk to people about my beautiful characters. I'm so excited and also sad to be drawing at the same time, because I have some art that I am somewhat proud of right now, and I'm sure I have issues with some of the things that I've drawn to that I'm like, I wish I could be happy with this, but I'm not. But I'm excited, and it's the same thing with my stories. I'm really excited to share my stories, but at the same time, they're kind of in limbos. Some of them are in spaces where I'm just having a very difficult time getting through them, like with Body More Zero. I'm still working through the ideas of the first draft, and there are things that I really like about it that I know are going to get better once I can actually get to revision and I can start working on it for real and get a good hold on Ralph's voice. And there are other things like working with the Yakuza characters and telling their stories and getting to share those characters, because they are such fun, interesting rays of sunlight with such complex and fun relationships, and they're so sweet, but so wholesome, but so badass at the same time. And they all just make me so happy, but that's what I want to focus on. I want to focus on telling stories and sharing characters and obsessing about this stuff, and maybe mildly narcissistic, but that's all I want to do, not any of this drama. So I don't focus on any of this drama. I just want to talk about characters. So, getting back to this, what AI actually does, if someone accuses you of using AI to write your book, how are you going to prove that they are wrong? I guess for me, the fact that it takes me a year plus per book is evidence, which that does help. You got so many people that, especially in the indie community, that are like pressuring to get rapid release, quick release on things when people in trad publishing can take a very long time. And even many of the books that kind of come out year over year for one-offs, sometimes are backlogged, created from previous years, and now they're just being pulled out because there's a contract to fulfill. But why do people jump on this, and why is there such vitriol, and why are the artists ready to jump on the authors, other than authors were ready to steal from the artists months ago? Because of people like this. Elizabeth Ann West, I write fiction and nonfiction with AI. I've been a professional writer since 2007. Even ask my readers if they care, they don't. They just want to know if I can write faster. Write all of your ideas, use all the tools. You are a product creator. You're not a writer. You're not an author. You are just shoveling garbage out for consuming because you think that you deserve the money. You think that you deserve other people's money for not doing any work. And it's only worse because Elizabeth Ann West here, her entire backlog, I'm pretty sure. I'd have to go through one by one to double check. But everything in her backlog is a form of Pride and Prejudice fanfiction. She says write your own ideas, but she's not writing her ideas because she's using AI generators. And she's using somebody else's characters and universe and names to make her money. Author of 25 plus best-selling Pride and Prejudice variations. That's a form of stolen valor in the writing community. But this is why people don't trust you. It's disgusting. You're not a writer for using AI generators. You're a best-selling product creator. And you steal. And you keep stealing. Because you're not even doing a derivative. You are just using somebody else's name, somebody else's property, putting it into a machine, having it spit it out for you, and loading the backlog so that when people look up Pride and Prejudice, they find 25 books plus by you. That's scammy. And this behavior needs to be called out because it needs to stop. It destroys the credibility of any of the authors. Of any authors, you, me, everybody. It floods the market. And it devalues all art. Well, you're also training machines for your utter replacement later when you can't even build off of this. This person is using your hard work, Jane Austen's hard work, to line her pockets and thinks that you're an idiot because you will pay her for stuff she didn't make. Anyway, that's how I view it. Truth be told, I'm hypercritical about this sort of thing if you haven't noticed. Sorry. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours on the topic of AI-generated content, on this cover, on what happened with this. Did you have more information on this before I did? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend. Let's change the literary landscape. I hope to do it myself, unless Sega decides to hire me to. We could come up with like 3 new games. I just want to love my characters. Look, how can you not love them? Okay, they are so cute. You don't even know yet. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend. At least try. Enjoy a good book made by a human. And don't die.
Was that Wayland Cross in the trunk? Do you know, or is that something that's still being figured out?
The person in the trunk was not Wayland Cross. Is he in trouble? We don't know who did it, but as the owner of the car, the longer he's missing, the worse it looks for him.
Cross isn't a killer. For the last couple of years, the average number of murders in Baltimore has been over 300, and it's been going up. Mind you, that's only whatever the badges count as official murder, and believe me, there are people that don't count when they die. Wayland? If you're down here, tell me. I'm not talking to the badges, I've been looking for you. They found a body in your trunk. Why? Did you do that? To the left, plain black letters read along the wall, "You walked in the corridor." Once that ends, "You chose the dark" is on the right. My vision goes blurry, flickers black and black and black for longer intervals until I can't see anything at all. I'm not screaming anymore, but my voice echoes back to me. "Where the hell am I?" "You're dead, Josephine." Even smart people do stupid shit sometimes, right?